Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be diving into the single best advertising option available to a small business anywhere. But before I dive in, let me introduce myself. My name's Trip, and I help brew pubs and breweries develop successful advertising and marketing strategies to enhance their business and personal lives. Now, let's dive in. The topic for today is going to be direct mail. Now, here's the thing. You may have done it. You may have found it to be too complex to dive into it. Either way, I'm going to show you how to do it effectively, cost efficiently. But before we dive into things, let's talk about how direct mail, how you understand it, and how you use it. And to look at anything along those lines, you got to look at the advantages. What are the advantages of direct mail? It's a tangible marketing medium, meaning it's something that folks can handle and hold in their hands. Compared to digital channels, specifically email, direct mail done right has a much higher open rate. Another advantage to direct mail, you can target specific demographics and you can target specific people. Direct mail can help you increase brand awareness. Direct mail can drive foot traffic to your tap rooms. Direct mail can boost product sales, and direct mail will enhance customer loyalty. So how do you go forward with direct mail? You need to set some objectives, some clear goals for a direct mail campaign. Could be something like increase taproom visits, could be promote a new beer release, could be to boost retail sales, could be announce an event or a promotion. It could be used to enhance customer loyalty. All of those are great objectives. And if any of those things are on your marketing plate right now, direct mail is a great way to solve those. To be effective at direct mail, you've got to target the right audience. Who is it that you want to reach? Is it local residents within a certain radius? Is it your past customers, folks on your customer list? If you don't have one of those, make sure you do it. I've got videos to help you. You can have beer enthusiasts in your distribution area. There are folks that will target those folks and give you a list of folks who do that. And you can also target potential business partners, i.e. bars, restaurants, pretty much any business in your area that you can in any way draw a line to create a partnership opportunity. All of those are great resources and great ways to use direct mail. Touched on it a little earlier. Let's talk about developing your mailing list. You'll want to have a customer database, because having a customer database, and for a brewery, I would say that every single name on your customer list is worth $20 to $25 per month. That I would use that as a very conservative benchmark. Of course, we touched on it. You can go out and purchase targeted direct mail lists. When you do any kind of cross promotion with another business, one of the things you'll want to do is get access to their customer list for a mailing situation. You also want to always be building that customer list. So you want to collect customer data. Key ways to do that are sign-up forms, loyalty programs, opportunities to get something that makes them special because they've got on your list. I'm not going to go into deep detail on that. I've got separate videos that go in all of that. But building that customer list, again, with the notion of every person that joins is $20 to $25 per month, every month. It's something you should be doing each and every day in your business, each and every hour that you're open. Let's talk about setting a budget for a direct mail campaign. You want to allocate some funds, and you want to make sure you understand what the results are when it's all over and done with. So first, determine your cost per mailer. Set that up and understand what your funding is going to be. Your cost per mailer, and then, of course, how many pieces you're going to mail. You want to also calculate a potential ROI, return on investment, what you'd like to see from that. I like to look at 5X as the minimum. If you don't feel like you're going to get 5X, maybe direct mail's not the right vehicle for this campaign. Other thing you want to do is make sure that you have funds available for the design, Make sure any kind of printing, any kind of postage on top of the cost per mailer, anything additional, so to speak. Make sure you understand all of them and have your budget set and complete in your mind. Now let's talk about maybe my favorite part of any direct mail campaign that I do. It's crafting your message. You need to create compelling content. You want to highlight your USP, your unique selling points of your brewery. Make sure they understand why it is they want to come to you and what they're going to get when they visit you. You want to also consider showcasing beer varieties, look at any seasonal offerings you might have. Now, the next part, more than anything else, is the most important. Include a clear CTA, a call to action. Tell that person who gets your direct mail piece exactly what it is you want them to do. Use high quality images of your beers and brewery. Lousy pictures, if you use any pictures in your direct mail piece. I've done straight letters. I've done postcards with pictures. I've done letters with postcards. About anything you can think about, I've done. But if your pictures are poor, your results will be poor. Make sure you incorporate not just your logo, but your brand colors. It needs to kind of feel like it came from you. You want to make sure you use the proper fonts and have proper contrast, font sizing, so that it's easy to read. The worst thing that can happen is you've got, first of all, here's a little tip. White lettering on a black background, much harder to read than the opposite. A white background with black lettering. Now, anytime you kind of merge black to white closer together, it becomes harder to read. Other thing to think about is the weight of the font. Script fonts, think about a white script font that's light, meaning narrow lineage on a black background, can easily kind of fall apart and be difficult to read. You don't want to spend your money to send somebody something that they can't read, right? Now let's dive in a little bit more about as you specifically design your mailer. What's the effective format you should think about? Postcards are great for a quick message. Now, here's a little direct mail guy tip for you. Jumbo postcards can be some of the most cost-effective mailing pieces. So check the larger 8.5 by 11 postcard pricing. You're going to have to compare that with the list you have, but that offers you a ton of area because you've got the 8.5 by 11 front and back. You see a lot of political mailers using this. Consider using that format as well. Other thing that I love about using those giant postcards, it's not going to get missed in the mailbox, will it? I mean, you can't miss it when you go and pull your mail out of your mailbox. I am not a big fan of using brochures. In fact, I wouldn't have a brochure for my business. I never have. I've had people over the years ask me for a brochure. Brochure is dated and out of date. Now, 3D mailers, things that kind of pop up, open up, and can have fun, I lump them in together with, speaking of lumpy mailers. When you put something in a package that makes a lump in the package, the power of those two things are they catch the people's attention. And at the end of the day, if you don't catch their attention, how good could your direct mail effort be, right? Also consider things like die cut elements that can be used, and scratch and sniff panels or scratch off elements. Scratch off and win a free flight or things like that. You could get away probably for under $1, a letter in a first class envelope with a card that's incentivized to join your customer list if they're not on it, and a scratch off to win something that they would bring in with you. That also helps you track and monitor how well it did. That's a design that I think would be a winner for any brewery. While we're on the topic, let's dive deeper into offers and incentives. Remember, I talked about you've got to give somebody a no-brainer, as compelling as possible, a reason to come in and visit you. Think about having an exclusive discount or an exclusive promotion tied only to the people who get that piece of mail. Everybody likes to feel special. So give them that situation where they do feel special because you've now given them this direct mail opportunity. Loyalty program enrollment, if you're not using some sort of a loyalty program, it can be everything from the typical buy X number of product, you get something for free. There can be a lot of other things that you want to do. The stronger your loyalty program, the more loyal your customers will be to you. And loyal customers are the key to having a successful business. This goes for breweries or just about anything else, certainly in the brick and mortar business world. So lean hard into that and it will pay off for you. All special events that you want to fill your location or fill wherever it is you're renting, direct mail will do that above and beyond any other type of advertising process. Take it from someone who has helped businesses and my own generate hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. Direct mail's been better than anything I've ever seen. And number two is a distant second. You also want to think about direct mail to your customer list, limited edition brews. That's a great way where you have the event, special limited edition brew, only the people on your customer list. Now you compound that. You, after the fact, put it up on social media and give folks the opportunity to get on that customer list for the next special limited edition. That should be done on social media as well as POP in your tap room or even on your can and how you distribute your beer. Other thing to think about are brewery tours and tasting sessions. Special tasting sessions for people on your customer list. A lot of folks understand that that's something that you're offering. They'll get on your customer list. So these are some offers and incentives. And the more you pack into your direct mail piece, the more successful it will be, i.e., the more you will have for sales and the more beer you'll sell. When possible, explore personalizing your messaging. Use variable data printing. And that just means you've got separated on a mailing list, first name, last name, address, if there's a phone number as well. But the key things are first name, last name, and address. If a direct mail piece goes out and it says, to me, Dear Trip, it is going to have a better response than you've seen things like Dear Homeowner, Dear Neighbor, or nothing at all. Also consider local references in your direct mail messaging. Talk about local things. Talk about things that are special whenever possible, because now what you're doing is you're tying the person to the community to you. You're building bridges. You're bridging that those bridges lead them from the direct mail piece to coming in and spending money with you. Now, if you really want to get deep into how to build a customer list, look at past purchases. And if you can't get into past purchases and how things do, and that would be tied to loyalty programs, i.e., let's say I had a card, I swipe it when I come in, it keeps track of what I consume, and then that information goes into the database tied to my specific name. That's the dream home run of a customer list. If you go to the effort of putting that together, it will pay off tenfold, because now what you could do is you could specifically talk about, we've got a new IPA and we know that Trip, you love IPAs. So I'm sending you this card because I'm going to give you a free tasting on such and such date to come on in. Wow. I mean, now think about that compared to all the nondescript things that happen in other mediums. So that's a real powerful tool. And if you have the wherewithal to put that together, I would say 100% do so. If you're using any type of software in your loyalty program, in your list creation, and you must be using some, see if you can't coordinate those things. Because if possible, like I said, it's going to be a home run. The timing of your campaign is critical. You don't want to just mail for the sake of putting something out into the post office. Think about things like new beer releases. We talked about the idea of any type of event or promotion you're doing, even seasonal changes, local events or festivals. Think about this. I happen to be recording this in October. If you're doing a Halloween event, that is a great reason to mail. And it's an opportunity not just to invite them, but they bring in something tied to your mail piece and they'll get something in return. Now you're able to measure your direct mail effort. Obviously, if you're having a festival, that's a great time to mail. Now, the other thing to think about, quieter business times can boost sales. I've got a video not that long ago, I put it out. It talked about where my client had one bad week per year. That was the opportunity I had to mail in for them. We mailed that 1 week, turned it from the worst, meaning the 52nd week of the year, it cracked the top 15 for them. That's the power of direct mail done right. I want to dive deeper into the tracking mechanisms because the last thing I want you to do is spend the money on a direct mail piece and not know if it did any good for you. That's the worst thing to happen. So think about using unique QR codes for something. For instance, they come in, they scan the QR code to make a reservation. They scan the QR code to get a ticket, or they scan the QR code to get emailed a free flight or a free tasting, something along those lines where I get the direct mail piece, I do something that lets you know. The original way would be to bring something in, and that works as well. Now, the other thing to think about, this might not be done on your first direct mail campaign, but let's say you do Oktoberfest and you do them every year. As you go through, you want to start to A/B test, which means have a piece that you know worked last time you did it, but also to some of the list, mail out a second piece because you always want to be testing and measuring. The better the piece produces, then that becomes your constant, and then you're always creating new pieces to test against the constant, the control, the piece that's working. Other thing that you want to do, it should be part of your training for everybody in the brewery who ever talks to people. How did you hear about us? How did you hear about this offer? How did you hear about this event? And some way that they can code in to let you know how many folks direct mail piece, how many folks social media. You always want to be doing that. That's important because you're spending hard-earned money. Even in social media, which you think is free, it takes time. Time is money. You always want to track and measure and have mechanisms in place so that you can do that. Let's execute your campaign now. When you're ready to launch, you want to do a final check of things. Check all the materials. Check all the spelling. Make sure everything's done right. Understand when it's going to go to the post office. And if it's first class, figure it can be sometimes the next day, but 3 to 5 days at the worst. If you're mailing third class, it can get there just as fast as first class, or it could take a month. Understand and factor that in. You also want to make sure that your staff is ready. The worst thing that could happen is someone's excited about something you're doing, and they walk in and they mention this thing that they're excited about, the first person they see. And what happens? That person looks at them and goes, let me go ask my manager. Now it's fallen flat on its face. You've got to keep everybody on the team understanding. Think about football as an analogy. They get in a huddle so everybody understands the play. Everybody's got the plan. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Everybody knows what's happening. You got to make sure that happens in your business. Now let's talk about some of those key performance indicators because we're going to monitor and measure results, right? So your response rate. You're going to want to know how many folks responded. Direct mail, as supposedly the rule of thumb, is at about 2%. If you're working on your customer list, I'd want there to be 5 to 8% response. And to be honest with you, I would strive to get to 20%. And now, if you've played around direct mail or understand a little bit, no, Trip, you're not going to get that. I've done better than 20%. So understand this. But I put an offer together where I've done direct mail efforts where people camped out ahead of the event. I've done direct mail efforts where there was such an overflow of people, they sent them to a local pizzeria to wait to get in, and they bought them their pizza while they waited. I've had people in the middle of the worst storm ever where they had to climb over a tree to get into the facilities. Do just that, to climb in to get to the event because they can't miss it. I've had my clients over and over again say, people said they just couldn't resist. They had to come in and they had to buy. I've never had anything else work like that except direct mail, and I've had it happen more times than I can remember. That's why I'm passionate about it, and that's why I want to see it work for you. Other thing that you're looking about is your conversion rate. And when you look at that, you want to tie it to your cost per action and your return on investment. And you want to also look at increased foot traffic and sales. And to tie all that and look at it, you want to know, particularly if you're mailing for an event you didn't do last time. How did it do last time? How did it do this time? If this is a new event, what you want to look at is, all right, it was on a Sunday afternoon. What's a typical Sunday afternoon for me? How many people show up? How much beer do we sell? How much traffic do we see? And compare that to this situation. Now, when you've got that comparison, what you want to stack on top of it, well, I don't really spend anything for a typical Sunday. I spent X now on direct mail and anything else you might do for this new special event on a Sunday. What was my return on investment? I'm spending more to have that day. Was it worth it? And then the last thing that you want to look at is always be building the customer list. And how did the customer list build from your event? Once you've got those things in place, you want to analyze and refine things. How can you improve things going forward? You want to look at, remember we talked earlier, you've got some objectives. How did it perform versus those? You want to look and identify what offers you thought worked. How was the design? You want to compare, even if there are different types of events and different things. Maybe you had a letter and a card last time, and this time you had a regular size postcard. The time before that, you used a jumbo postcard. You want to compare and contrast and keep track of things. Have a spreadsheet or even a Google Doc where you keep track of those things. So as you go forward, you can always go back and look and compare and say, how did things work versus the last time? You always also want to get feedback from your best customers, the folks you know. What did they like? What they didn't like? Did they remember the direct mail piece? Did they come in because of it? And the other thing that you want to do is get feedback from your staff, the people who come in. I like to think about this. People who come in and your staff were happy about the event, they probably made money, particularly if they're in a tipping scenario. But if they enjoyed the whole experience, that's super valuable. Because if you've got people working for you who you have a big event, and that makes you a nice chunk of change, and your staff was thrilled after the event, wow, we're talking win-win there, aren't we? Other thing that you're doing, of course, through all of this is refining and getting ready for your next campaign, your next events. A multi-pronged, integrated different marketing methods will always outproduce you doing just one of anything. The more touch points, the more folks you touch, the more opportunity you're going to have of folks who take advantage of what you're offering. So think about using a cohesive marketing strategy. You want to coordinate your direct mail with your email marketing. What I would say to do is email, message, mention you're going to be getting something in the mail, send them something, and then as you get right before the event, a reminder email. Coordinate those things. Also use social media, of course, to reinforce the message that's in your direct mail effort. You want, whenever possible, I love QR codes because it makes it easy for people to just pull out their phone, and everybody's got a phone, and be able to, whether it's getting on your customer list, making a reservation, or in some way responding to your message saying, you're offering me something, I want it. You also want to have on-site displays about what's happening because, again, we're dropping things on folks message-wise. The better you do that, the better your event's going to be. Let's talk more about specific campaigns you might get involved in. Of course, there's new beer announcements. Now, how might you go about doing that? You'd send a personal postcard with their name, Dear Trip, because I'm a loyal customer. Other things you want to do is tasting notes and brewing process highlights. Put that into that card. Offer a pre-order opportunity. And with this direct mail piece for a new beer announcement, have an exclusive launch event. Put those things together, and I think you're going to have a home run. Deschutes Brewery, they had their Abyss launch campaign, and they used personal postcards to announce their barrel-aged stout release. This was a campaign that worked very well for them. Other thing to think about are birthday campaigns. I am a huge proponent of this. So your customer list should capture everybody's birthday. And you should send personalized birthday cards. Offer them a free beer. You could also do discount, but I want to buy you a beer on your birthday. Give them an opportunity to invite customers for a special birthday brewery experience, i.e., reserve a table for 10 and get an appetizer. If you do pizza, a free cheese pizza. You could even, if you want to really have an event for that person, a free, the first round's on us type of thing. Have to have 10 people show up. It will make them special. You know, as kids, many of us loved our birthday parties, right? Adults will feel that same way. Make birthday campaigns a part of your marketing campaign. Use direct mail, and you will have winners if your list is big enough each and every day. The third type of campaign that I want to talk specifically about are seasonal promotions. Now, there's seasonal opportunities literally every month. The calendar breaks it out that way. January is New Year's, February is Valentine's Day, March is St. Patrick's Day. You also, of course, can have spring, fall, winter, summer situations. You want to create theme-type mailers tied to those. You've got to support them with some kind of event, so you might not be in a situation to do one every month, but pick the ones that you think will be the winners, and then you might grow to the point where you would have one every single month. You want to showcase seasonal beer offerings as well. You want to include food pairings if that's part of your business. If not, if you don't regularly have food, these are great opportunities to bring them in. You could have, obviously, corned beef and cabbage with St. Patrick's Day. An example of this type of thing, there was a regional brewer who used scratch and sniff postcards to promote a new seasonal beer, resulting in 35% increase in sales. Think about this. Pumpkin spice is everywhere. It's October. I see it night and day. Scratch and sniff for the beer. Folks will do that. It's different. It opens up their mind to, wow, look at this. This is kind of cool when they get your mailing, and they're going to come in. 35% increase. What would a 35% increase do for you on any given day? Be pretty good, wouldn't it? These are the types of things. You've got to be creative. You've got to give it some thought, and hopefully this has helped to generate some ideas for you. If you have questions about any ideas that's generated, put it down there in the comments. I will answer your questions. I'll give you my input and thought. You've always got to think about the legal and ethical considerations. Make sure you're following all local marketing as it relates to alcohol marketing laws. Make sure you've got all the age verification requirements in place. Adhere to data protection regulations if you're buying a list or using your customer list. Include responsible drinking messages in what you do, and consider the environmental impact. Use sustainability materials. One of the things I'd recommend is having a recycling bin. Ask them to bring in their direct mail piece so that you can recycle it. And if they bring it in, you'll give them a free tasting of any beer they want to choose. Now, what have you just done? You're creating goodwill among your customer base. You're treating our planet well, being sustainability elements into the whole process. And now you have a measurable event. And when they bring in the card and do that, specifically if it's not to your customer list, they're going to have to enroll in your customer list to get that tasting. Now, I wouldn't, if they totally balked, I'd still give it to them, but you understand what I'm saying right here. 9 out of 10 people will do whatever it needs to get something for free. And now you're building your customer list. And remember, conservative estimate, that's $20 to $25 per name. Be smart, do this right, and it will pay off month in and month out. Let's kind of wrap things up right now. Direct mail, done right, offers you as a craft brewer a powerful tool. It will help you not just connect with customers, won't help you to just promote your new beers, won't help just your business to grow. What it'll help you to do is establish a situation where you can turn like the water faucet, turn sales on and off with direct mail. That's how powerful it is. And it can happen just by following these steps and continue to refine and learn and go through. Your first direct mail piece isn't going to be as well and do as well as your 10th. Your 10th won't do as well as your 50th. It's a learning process. I've given you all the basics you need, but you're going to refine them for your business, your needs, your customers, and your community. You want to always think about having the beer enthusiasts. You want to connect with them, and those are folks who are going to drive success to your brewery. So that always involves you speaking with the folks who come in on any given event, folks who come in and trigger and use your direct mail piece, as well as folks who don't. Make sure every day you're talking to folks in your business because you're learning. Customer research is an important part of every element of your business. Got a quick question for you. What unique direct mail campaign efforts do you want to create and showcase? Let me know down in the comments, and go ahead right now and put send, and I'm going to send you this fantastic presentation that I put together. You're seeing it right now. I want you to have that, and I'll give it to you for free. So go ahead and do that. Cheers. Here's to your success.